Guru Bukujunu, Nirabajiri. Good morning, how's everyone? Yeah. That's good, good start. Today I'll be talking about connecting local students to culture and conservation. So before we get started, just the formalities. So probably I'll start off with this one. Jiri Nura Bulumba, Jiri Nura Gurugura, Jiri Nura Buluru. I was basically saying, hello country, hello ancestors, hello creator. I like to, and also acknowledging. So I acknowledge Yirrganydji and our neighbouring groups. Also acknowledge the 70 other groups across the Great Barrier Reef, our elders, the Reef Resilience Symposium, and organisers. So before we get right into it, I'll just explain what the Reef Cooperative is. So the Reef Cooperative is a group of colleagues that share the same vision of coming together and in looking after country and better understanding the reef. It's made up of 5 organisations, so Citizens of the Great Barrier Reef, GBR Biology, Dawara Aboriginal Corporation, Mars Restoration Foundation, and Yirrganydji Rangers, and is funded by Cotton On Foundation. So the Reef Cooperative been running just over 2 years now, and the goal of the Reef Cooperative is actually co-design, co-led and co-manage, and with First Nation people, expanding the Great Reef Census, the Mars Reef Stars, and inclusion of continuing the inclusion of engaging and capacity building for local Indigenous ranger groups. And it's important that we say continue the inclusion, because when it comes to working partnerships and inclusion and permissions and consent, it's always good to renew that and keep that as an ongoing thing. And finally, I'll be focusing this talk on the education program. So so it's actually promoting Yirrganydji culture and the reef conservation. And the reason why we're doing Yirrganydji culture is because the schools that we are engaging are on Yirrganydji country. So with the main objective of these, the main objective of the education program is creating connection. So once we create a connection, people are more inclined to actually do something about it and be more involved. So the first aim of this program is actually starting recognition of traditional owners. So having the students understand whose country they're on and who are the people in that area. Then we expanded on something, a better understanding of First Nation management and creating that connection to the reef. As you can see, we work both on Yirrganydji and Yirrganydji sea country, and we also have within the cooperative the Yirrganydji Rangers and Yirrganydji Rangers. We explain to them partnerships that are already happening out on the reef and how it's come together. A model that we've got as the Reef Cooperative. We explain to them the Reef Cooperative projects like Mars Stars and Census. And hopefully by the end of the program, we sparked an interest in doing more for their country, but also sparked an interest on possibly thinking about a career pathway into management of sea country and better understanding the reef. So one of the first projects that we do is the Great Reef Census. It's a massive photo data survey along the Great Barrier Reef. It is made of a mixed bag of lollies of seafarers. So you have your commercial operators, your tourism vessels, your yachties, even your weekend warriors. Anyone can get involved in the in-water works. Then using a simple methodology of actually surveying the reef, all you need is access to the reef. Being able to swim is quite important. Snorkeling gear is optional, but making sure that you bring camera with you. And for those who can't actually make it to the reef, there's also the online analysis that you can do on the Great Reef Census website. And that is actually made up of all of these images are analysed by everyday people all around the world. And it's using cutting-edge AI technology to help survey these, help analyse these images and make it simple to use. Great thing about the Great Reef Census, it actually explores reefs that never been surveyed before. An estimate of 18% of the Great Barrier Reef has been surveyed through the Great Reef Census. Then the data then gets passed on to scientists and other reef managers, and it makes informed decision of future decisions. It also identify key source reefs that it also identify key source reefs, and it also prioritises what's actually needed on those reefs. Then we got our Mars Reef Stars. So the Mars Reef Stars, for those who don't know, is actually a rubble stabilisation method. It uses a metal frame coated in limestone, and these hexagon shaped structures are locked in like a huge jigsaw puzzle, and all that's needed is localised coral fragments and people power. It only works in rubble patches, but it provides a structure for those coral graveyards and help regrow those patches back into reefs. These are easy to build frames. You do need a scuba diving ticket to install, but that shouldn't be the limitation, because you can also get the general public involved with the tying of the coral fragments onto the frames. And this is a great gateway to get your message about the reef and educate the general public. This is very scalable and practical, and it's fairly easy to run, and it can be operated off the back of a tourism vessel. So this site here, this is actually at Hastings, and we managed to do this at the back of Dreamtime. As you can see, we actually Tess is in the crowd. She's the one that installing by scuba. Then we actually have help from Jabal Binna Rangers and Yirrganydji Rangers on snorkeling down to. The biggest feedback that we get about this, we ran these on. We broke these up into manageable days, and they call them reef recovery days. And we we basically utilised that 5 hours on Hastings Reef, and we got people, paying customers to get involved, and at the end of it, they get a certificate. One of the biggest feedbacks that we got of these reef recovery days is, when is the next one? So, yeah. It's action like that actually sort of makes you, gets motivated continuously. Then we have something like the Reef Innovation Training Program. So this has just started. We realised that with these projects, you probably need to actually build and train people in them. And there's no better organisations to do it than ranger groups. Indigenous ranger groups across the country are, they're a great resource and they can be utilised in remote areas. Plus, they're very connected to the country and they're connected to their communities. So with the Reef Innovation Training Program, we train them up in Mars Reef Stars and Great Reef Census. We also help them, we also train them up in capacity building on manufacturing the reef stars and getting them to get their dive tickets. Now, this is all what we talk about in in our education program. But with our education program, like I said, we start with the first lesson of getting them to know traditional owners first. Then we expand into the things that we do out on the reef. So originally, Darren was meant to be here today to help co-present this to me, present with me, but unfortunately, she's unable to make it. So so we have like a 5-lesson approach, and we use the KWL method. So we get the students to tell us what they know already about the subject, what they want to know, and what they learnt from our lessons. So up here is a good example with Newman College, because what they know was actually very interesting to us, because Newman College did have prior engagement with other members of Yirrganydji, but what they wanted to know is, was pretty consistent. It was actually consistent with other school groups as well, about knowing cultural foods, understanding language. Actually, there's a huge push for that, and learning hunting methods, and just in general, actually getting to know traditional owners in general. But unlike my presentation right now is just by PowerPoint, we actually have, we bring in actual props and 3D models. So as you can see, I'm actually using a 3D map of our country, but it also expands and shows a bit of our neighbouring countries as well. This is actually a great engagement tool for for students, but also general public, general community, because we utilised this when I was a ranger with Yirrganydji, and we used to sit this on the table with meetings with elders, and you can see them actually. You can see them actually staring at the model and get more. Then they start telling you what they want from us. So utilising that and showing that to kids, and actually get them learning a bit more geography. So I asked them, one of the first questions I asked them was, can you find yourself on this map? Where do you live? And and also showing them our neighbouring areas as well. Then we go into something with a bit more technology. So we're using things like the Great Reef Census. For these girls, these are the first time they're using it, and they actually picked up pretty quickly. Then you got someone like Newman College that has been using it for a while and actually expanding their knowledge on the Great Reef Census. It's a great educational tool, and it's almost like an introduction into marine biology. But the biggest thing that I picked up of these two groups is that one was 100% Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. The other one was low numbers of Indigenous enrolment. But they wanted to learn the opposite side of the coin. So you had the students more interested in this technology from Yirrganydji College. Then with the Newman College, they wanted to actually learn a bit more about Aboriginal culture. We also bring in the reef stars as well. This is actually a great way to control the class. it gets them out of those shells, and having something to touch and feel, and actually get the feel of the weight, actually it breaks down that shyness barrier, and they get more involved, because this school in particular had they were more shy than the other classes, but it didn't stop them from actually getting up and getting involved. But with the and as you can see, it gets their attention pretty quickly. The great thing about lessons too is that when we got to the end of it, talking about the careers, go back to this one. It was surprising that it's actually rewarding that we actually had a few of the girls actually considering marine biology as a career pathway, especially coming from girls that grew up in remote areas. So, in summary, it is important to create that connection. There's also, while showing them positive impacts that's happening out on the reef, another one is actually all of these projects by the Reef Cooperative, practical, scalable, and community-driven, and having a co-design, co-led management approach with traditional owners and First Nation people is the way forward on land and sea management. Question? Yeah, that could be the expand.
I might just repeat that question so those online can hear, because they probably wouldn't have heard you. So there was a question from the audience about, is there an opportunity for bringing schools together to help support kind of sharing of knowledge and learning from diverse schools?
Yeah, there is that possibility. At the moment, we've just only done term one. We've engaged about 100 students. We're just about to start term two, and we're about to engage about 200 more students. This is a pilot program, and it's going to continue to grow and adapt. So yeah, that is a possibility in the future.
And as you're in the room, I invite you to come on up to the microphone. It's not so scary.
If they don't want to use the microphone in the front, you can sit there on Slido and do it.
Thank you.
I'll speak very loudly. My question is, are there opportunities to collaborate with the MARS program with community groups, so not necessarily schools, but other outside of education and youth bodies?
So yeah,
I might just repeat that question for those online. So the question was about, is there an opportunity to expand the partnership with MARS program and community groups?
Yeah, so the MARS program, it originated in Indonesia, and it was actually based on community as well. So they actually got the islands and villages to actually help build those Mars reef stars, and it's actually showing them that helping them repair damages that happen to their reefs. So they have destructive fishing. The reason why we use it over here in Australia is that we have destructive weather like cyclones, and you could also use it to patch up reefs that have been had boat strikes and vessels run aground. We actually, just out of Moore Reef, is the very first Mars reef site, Mars stars reef site, and then there's a couple more at Green Island. The one that we've actually done through the Reef Cooperative at Hastings Reef, and I was actually fortunate enough to actually travel down to Wapabara and actually help train the ranger, parks rangers and reef authority rangers into installing those. Anything else?
One last question.
Thank you so much, Tarquin. It's a pleasure to meet you. I have a couple questions, but I'll keep the first one for now. The RIT program, the training program that you talked about, often working with rangers to train up in certain skills. Do you ever work with young people, maybe minors still in school, or young people that are seeking employment into those fields, or do you imagine that there's any space for that in the future of that program?
So, so the education program is sort of the step for, like, giving information about it. The RIT program actually is getting rangers first prioritised to be trained up, then it's eventually going to turn into train the trainer. So actually having rangers training other rangers and making it more, that's how you do capacity building, is that you get people understanding what they're being taught and actually teaching, expanding that on. And that's how that's how it becomes practical and scalable.
Yeah, awesome. I'll probably save some of my other questions for you for later, but thank you so much.
We're going to take just one more question before we wrap up the session with Tarquin.
Good morning, my name's Chelsea. I'm here from Foch Group Consulting. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. I would like to ask, is there opportunity for the MILES programme to be implemented with an investment perspective? So for example, in retail packages and tourism ventures?
That's actually probably, it's a good thing that I actually have the founders here for the Reef Cooperatives. They will give a better answer on that. But yeah, it's something that at the moment with the Reef Cooperative, we've been using it to do things like out on Hastings Reef. So we actually have 2 separate sites, and we're actually in the process of trying to set up another site this year as well. So and yeah, again, implement them off a tourism vessels like Dreamtime.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds like some good fodder for side chats after this. Can everyone join me in thanking Tarquin for his presentation?